Hey guys, welcome back to Cocky Gachas, and in this video I'm going to do a full breakdown of the new flower event celebration as well as a strategy that you can employ to get more rewards. So first things first, on screen you can see this is the daily mission, and you would notice that something is missing. The Haru and the Clara is missing, and that is because they are now under the Lucky Petal Collection mission event. And for collecting 3000 Lucky Petals itself, you'll be able to get both Clara, Haru. On top of that, you also get 2 Eternal Chests as well as the 50 artifacts for both Clara as well as Haru. So very good rewards here on top of what we already have previously. And now this is the highlight, right? I know that you guys really want to know how to play this game mode, and the game mode itself can be unlocked as usual by clearing all of the event stories. So I have went ahead and skipped everything because I want to like min-max the whole thing. So I'll go back to revisit the story subsequently. But this is the event shop. It's called Clara Farm, and you can see this is the shop items. Later I'm also going to touch on it in detail. But first things, we're going to go into the mini game, and you can see here I have already completed my mini game entry, and here this is called Dangerous White Robin Forest, and this game mode is similar to like tower defense or town defense, right? In this case you will have to survive for 90 seconds. Technically you don't have to survive for 90 seconds, but of course optimally you want to do so because you will get more rewards in most of the cases, I would say. And here you'll be able to move up, down, left, right. So it's similar to what you have been doing all the time in the town, killing all those monsters, right? It's just that now they are going to come in more waves, and it's going to be quite scary. And also they did mention that your stats are going to be affected by account level. I'm going to touch on that subsequently. Your helper gauge also fills up when you defeat monsters. When the gauge reaches 100%, you can summon a helper. So I also go into detail once the game footage plays. The helper souls are affected by the soul's affection and bond level. So this is quite important. The two things here is the account level as well as the soul's affection and bond level. So just to clarify, your account level only affects your own stats. It doesn't really affect the unit stats. So if you have a unit at level 9 and very high affection points, right? Because after level 9 you can still gain affection points, then you would be able to perform better given that your soul's stats would be higher. So quite self-explanatory. And below, to be honest, I'm not sure what is being written. It's a bug. I can't really see what is what they have written here, but we do have the obtain points reward as usual for Chloe event. This is similar to that event in terms of the reward system. So if you were to obtain like less points, you will get less event currency, so it would scale up all the way up to 3.5 million points. And then for surviving, you get this survival reward that is basically just a gift that you can give to the souls itself, so that you can gain more bond points and you can level up your souls much easier during this event. And also there's a basic reward of 30 event currency. So there is also a cumulative one, and it caps off at 20 million. However, for this event, one thing to note is that there is only one challenge per day. So for people that are tired of seeing like 3 challenges per day, definitely this is an upgrade, right? Because you are able to save more time by only challenging it once per day. So going into the gameplay footage, I'm going to cover all the essential things when it comes to min-maxing for you to get the max rewards possible. And you will notice that at the start of battle, we would summon helper units, right? Even though we don't have the gauge full, and that is because these helper units are being summoned. They are all level 9 bond units. If you don't have any of those, you will not be able to summon those, so you'll be at a disadvantage, so to speak. And how do I know that? It's because when initially the event began, I only had 5 of these units at level 9, which is Talia, Honglan, Lindsay, Memphi, as well as Adrian. But after that, I noticed that since it involves this mechanic, right, I went ahead and maxed my Catherine with like gifts and outings, and subsequently, when I start the battle, I would have 6 of these units, right, including Catherine. So I realized that this is the case, and this is important because they would help you clear out the units, as you can see on the screen, right? They are clearing out the units. But one thing that I would like to focus on is that their stats rely on their affection level also. So not just being level 9 is enough, right? So in my gameplay itself, I noticed that Catherine would survive slightly longer than the rest. They will take less damage. However, there is something that I also want to note, is that there is going to be this red circle thing that it spawns right under you. And what I would suggest you guys to do is that you try to avoid standing together with your helpers, right? So try to let your helpers do something else, and then you go and do your own thing. Although you will risk your helper dying, but I think it's much better, because if you were to follow them and a red circle spawns, they are going to take substantial damage as well as being staggered and stunned, right, per se. So the main mechanics of this itself is very simple. It's just attack, dodge, or roll, as well as the help button. So 3 of these buttons, and then every time I see a red circle, you basically just dodge. That's the most simple thing. You don't really need to dodge the unit's attacks, because I feel like if you just spam the attack, it's much more effective than dodging the unit's attack, unless you're getting swarm, right? That's one thing. But the red circle is your number one nemesis. You have to roll away once you see it, because it takes down like a damage over time, very, very significant damage. And in this footage itself, you can see me making the mistake of climbing up with the helper, but subsequently when I experimented with it a bit more, I noticed that I shouldn't climb with my helpers after I played on my alternate account. But honestly, it's not going to be that big of a difference, but definitely I think this strategy is the best to go about. And also, one thing to note is that the number of units would also increase, right, as the game progresses. So as you take down closer to 0, more and more units are going to spawn. One strategy that you can do is to have all of them crowd around you, right? Gather them to you. Instead of running to them, wait for them to come to you. I think that's a better strategy. Just spam your attack button and wait for the red circles. Red circles come, dash left or right, and then continue spamming the attack button so that you are able to get the most damage out. And also, do not break your attack combos. I'm not sure if just a placebo effect, but I've noticed that if I were to cancel my attacks halfway, like dodging, after which my combo will be broken and then I will do less damage. And of course, the stronger units, the bigger ones, are the ones that are going to do more damage to you, so prioritize killing them off first. But one thing to also note is that if your helpers were to kill the units, you are not going to get any helper gauge. So what you need to do is to not stick with your helpers. Once again, this strategy works very well because of this helper gauge thing, right? If you were to stick with your helpers, they might KS you and then you would not get the last hit, you will not get the helper gauge. And the help power gauge itself is how you will be able to summon additional helpers, and this additional helpers that you summon do not have to be at level 9. You would summon the next strongest unit. So if I were to summon a unit for myself, I would be summoning Chloe because my Chloe is at bone level 7. So subsequently, if I were to summon a second time, then something else would be summoned. And that is basically the whole gist of the battle itself. And just a tip, for you guys that are playing on the phone, right, I would suggest playing on the phone if you can, your phone doesn't lag. But if you are playing on the PC on the emulator, you might notice that something is very annoying, and that is that you have to click the buttons itself, right, to attack and roll. So it will be very, very slow. So what I've been doing is that I am playing on LD player and I'm using the mapping function that they have. I'm not sure if the Google one has it, but for me, I'm using LD player. It runs pretty smoothly for my computer, and then I'm able to map the keys to attack, roll, as well as the help button to like various keys on my keyboard itself. So I only play using the keyboard, I don't use the mouse. And for people that are interested, you can check out the link in the description below, whereby it has my affiliate link for the LD player. So if you were to download using my link, it will also help out and support the channel as well. Also, another tip I have for you guys is that if you were to die in this game mode, do not be afraid. You can die in this game mode, you would be prompted to retry. You should be able to see on screen I am on my odd and I have the retry button. Initially I was scared to die, but after which I realized this, right, you are free to just die. But the more scary thing is not about dying. If you want to min-max, the scary thing is about the timer going to 0, because once the timer goes to 0, it will automatically calculate the score, and then that's the score that you are going to get. So if you want to min-max, right, try to like see how many units you can clear at the end of it to deduce how much points you might be able to get, and then depends on that, you want to retry or you want to just go ahead and collect the rewards and let it tick down to 0. That is up to you. And most importantly, the reward structure. So one thing I want to also inform you guys is that from what I've seen in various screenshots, other people as well as my own score, I've deduced that the score itself, the points that you obtain, is not solely based on the number of units or the number of monsters that you kill. It's because I saw someone having like lower monster kill count than me but having more points. I think they probably had more helpers survive, which is why it contributed to a higher score. So a few main things just to sum it all up. It's just that you need more helpers. The more level 9 units you have, the better, which is why during this event itself, I would focus on getting as many level 9 units as possible, right? But do note that not every single unit would have the bond level, so check out them to see that they have a love story unlocked before you can go and level them up. So do not spend your time going outings with the units that have not yet been having their love story released. It's not going to help you at all. Avoid the red circles. Do not climb up with the helpers, most importantly, right? And then try to stay on one spot, spam the attack button. And also, if you're playing on PC, play on a emulator that can map the keys itself so that you can play on the keyboard and for more flexibility. But of course, playing on the phone might be the best unless your phone is not able to run this game mode smoothly. And of course, something that you guys might also be very interested in is the rewards that you'll be able to get based on how much points you can accumulate, right? So I have broken it down on screen here. You can see on this Excel spreadsheet, I have from 150k all the way up to the 3.5M category, and this is the amount of event coins you can get based on your category. And for the event duration itself is 21 days. If you were to do all the dailies as usual, 60 times 21, you get 1260. So I've tested the game mode out on my alternate account, which is less than 7 days play, and honestly minimally played, right? I don't really have time to do dailies and all that kind of good things, so it's super minimally played, and I was able to do 700k damage. And for context purposes, I had 0 level 9 units, I had no units past level 4 even. I think only Valena was on level 3 or something, and so you would know that it's purely based off the savior itself, right, that I'm using, and I was able to hit this bracket whereby I was able to get 2 duplicates, right? And if you were to just do like just enter and then like kill a few mobs, you would still be able to hit this this bracket whereby you get 150k points, right? As long as you don't like die in the first few seconds and then you just quit out. I think it's very hard for you to not be able to get 3000 points to get both Haru and Clara, so that is pretty good. And then if you want to get 3 duplicates, you do have to get 1.3 million per day, right? So 230 event currencies per day, that would be sufficient for you to get 3 duplicates. And then if you really go super hardcore, even then you still wouldn't be able to get an extra like costume, right? So you do have to pay if you want to get costumes and 3 dupes. That is what I've noted from this breakdown itself. And then something also that I want to tell you guys is that I found it quite confusing, because the cumulative rewards this time is actually not guaranteed. So usually you would have the like cumulative rewards always be guaranteed, and for the final bracket you do have 10 type summon tickets, which is quite valuable, mind you. So you do need to get 950k per entry, or of course cumulatively you need to do 20 million across 21 days for you to hit this reward itself, to clear all the cumulative rewards. So based on how much you are doing, you can kind of gauge you are falling behind or you are ahead, and then you don't really have to try hard so much, min-max so much to hit the rewards, right? So this is just general information for you guys. And that about does it for this video on the flower event. I hope that you guys get the max rewards that you can and aim for the stuff you want, be it skins, be it dupes, right? And also definitely check out this video on how you can exploit the level sync so that you can get the maximum progress out of your account, especially with guild raid and the Champions Arena dropping. I'll see you guys over there. This is Corky Gachas signing off.